With Rebecca Yarros admitting that her book Fourth Wing was inspired by her upbringing in the Mormon church, it has sparked the debate of why are there so many great fantasy authors that are Mormon or were raised in the Mormon church. Off the top of my head, I can only think of a few. Brandon Sanderson, Orson Scott Card, Brandon Mole, Stephanie Myers. I think it may only seem like they are dominating the fantasy genre because Brandon Sanderson and Yaros have been number one and number two in the fantasy genre for the last couple of years. They're far more Catholic and Jewish writers of fantasy that I've read than Mormon ones. However, as someone who was raised in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I want to weigh in on this, on why we are so good at creating fantasy worlds. But first, I think there's a more important question. And that is, how long before Fourth Wing is in Deseret bookstores? And if you don't know what Deseret bookstores is, it is a church owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Christian bookstore. And the next thing you are going to ask me is, why would Fourth Wing be in such a bookstore? I haven't read it. I heard it had smut and a lot of profanity in it. And before I get attacked that the church has standards and would never allow smut in their bookstore, I wouldn't be so sure. Well, that has never stopped Deseret Industries before. Orson Scott Card is featured in Deseret bookstores, and his works contain many curse words. But back to my original question. Why are people of this faith very good at creating fantasy worlds? Well, I've been amused at some of the responses that I've heard over the internet and in person. From Joseph Smith did write a fantasy book, to which just practice for the next world, where we think that we are going to create our own planets. As someone who has created their own fantasy universe of Kalani and the entire universe that goes along with it, including a premortal, mortal, and post-mortal world, the answer is really quite simple. Latter-day Saint children are encouraged to develop their talents, whether that be violin, gymnastics, or writing. It's one of the articles of faith, one of the top 14 Bible scriptures that is repeated over and over. If there is anything virtuous, lovely, or of good report, we seek after these things. Is Rebecca Yarros' book praiseworthy and lovely? I don't know. I have not read it. I do think that she looks quite lovely. She is probably the cutest little fantasy writer that I've ever seen. And I'm assuming that she did not get to be number one without being extremely talented. So let me know what you think.